we have really come in many respects full circle. I want to play this clip from Mazie Hirono. This is in the wake of essentially Joe Biden raising the white flag. Although I think we can argue that this flag has been raised for some time. On the Build Back Better bill, which has now been punted into 2022, but it's one of those punts that have gone super, super high up in the air, and you just don't know if it's coming back down. Here is that clip now.
That's where he's at, and this is why if you have a 50-50 split Senate, you can have one person or two people just stop everything, and that is why people in our country should know that a 50-50 Senate sucks and we can't get things done. I'm hopeful that Joe will change his mind and understand that Build Back Better is going to enable women in particular to go back to work because we'll provide support for childcare.
Apparently Manchin now has a problem with the child tax credit because it puts a maximum of $300 per child into the hands of, I don't know, 70%, 80% of Americans, maybe a little bit more. And of course, that is what's driving inflation now, because apparently they're all driving more. So it's pushing up the cost of gas. Or
he's got a Maserati, Sam.
Or maybe they're all
probably SUV.
But I'm saying all of those parents must be driving more. That's why it's inflating the price of gas. Or they're all taking that extra money and building homes with it or something to that effect. I mean, that's what the argument would be, I guess, in terms of whether it's inflation. But is there nothing, and we also have the parliamentarian that got rid of the immigration stuff. We know that they don't have to listen to the parliamentarian. Yeah. And we also know that presumably the president has some ability to make a guy who is so heavily invested in coal be a little bit like nervous about what the president might do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. We've been talking about this for a long time, and it remains the case that I can't figure out how the Senate negotiates. I can't figure out how the White House involves itself in those negotiations. You know, we hear that as of this month, Biden is calling up Manchin. It's like it's December. Have you guys not been talking on the phone? Like, I mean, not even in the sort of Lyndon Johnsonian arm twisting sense, but just in the like, pin this guy down on what he wants. Try like if he's not willing to negotiate fruitfully, like make him. I don't really know. It's been months of this, and senators themselves seem as lost as a couple of guys here trying to figure out what's going on in the Senate.
I mean, that's what it, when I say this is a failure of the leadership of the Democratic Party, that's what it seems to be. And I'm not even talking like, I have obviously ideological problems with the leaders of the Democratic Party. Not the least of which, is that I don't think that really we should be talking about the free market allowing you to trade stocks based on information that you learn that just me was just beyond the pale. But Chuck Schumer has known what the dollar number was anyway since June or July. Like you say, I mean, Joe Biden, don't you want to get a sense of where this guy is? I mean, at one point, like, couldn't Joe Biden say, hey, you know what? I know you got a lot of money invested in coal, and I got this executive order on my desk that says, like, we're not using coal anymore. Like, and it may or may not be legal, but there's certainly a bunch of different things I can do to make it legal. Certainly that will inhibit the coal industry. EPA could.
Yeah, the EPA. I mean, obviously the Supreme Court would probably get involved, but the EPA, before the Supreme Court got around to it, could probably do a lot of damage to coal.
I mean, one would imagine, and he could just be like, I've got my pen out, and I'm either going to sign the Build Back Better bill or I'm going to sign this executive order. I mean, couldn't he say something like that? Couldn't they come in and get rid of the parliamentarian? Like, at one point, this is a question of how much do you want it? And what I find just absolutely stunning is that they also must realize, and maybe they don't, maybe it's just sheer incompetence, that like this is going to hurt them now at the ballot box. Like, had they just started at $1.4 trillion and passed it last June, then I think it would have had a lot less pain than is going to be involved if they even get this thing across the finish line. But because they've done it so poorly, but this is going to hurt all of them, it seems to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that, as to the question of how much do they want it? Well, they clearly don't want it enough to change anything about how the Senate does its business, including the rules under which it operates, but also the way in which it carries out these long, protracted negotiations in which members are, in which members are not actually forced to come to the table and actually say what they're willing to pass, right? And it's obvious now that they're repeating many of the mistakes that were made in the first term of the Obama administration when they had a much larger Senate majority, obviously. But I think that's what I find very odd, is that the Senate is so senators are so self-involved and so full of themselves that they don't actually understand that the way they do business contributes to the unpopularity of their entire party, and frankly leads to justified cynicism about the government in general, right? They carry out these long, protracted negotiations that make everything less popular, that make the Democratic leaders less popular, that makes individual senators less popular, and then they kind of just periodically say we're giving up until next month. And then you can just watch, you probably saw the poll of younger people's support for Biden, just kind of slowly falling all year till he's way underwater with them.
Well, could that have anything to do with the fact that Jen Psaki earlier this week at one of their press conferences basically said that starting repayment for student loans is a very high priority for the administration, as opposed to, I don't know, one would imagine a higher priority being canceling at least $10,000 each of student debt, which is, what Biden pledged to do on the campaign trail and is wildly insufficient. But at least that is one of the campaign promises for sure. Like, I see people on, Instagram and social media who aren't fully involved in politics railing against this and being, genuinely upset because it actually materially affects them. No, the claim that, this only helps elite rich kids is such bogus and doesn't hit with anybody who's known anyone who's experienced student debt.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's obviously going to hurt even more. I think that the damage, or the slow decline in people under 40's support for Biden is really pretty steady all year, and it kind of has some parts where it accelerates, and I think that will be one of the things that accelerates that decline. But to some extent, the only way to explain that after Biden's sort of original compromise $10,000 proposal is, I think, within the last few months, within the administration, the right of the administration has been winning internal arguments, right? Like, I think that's kind of what we're seeing. I think in response to falling popularity, because his administration has, especially in the economic team, a lot of fairly progressive voices from the more progressive wing of the party. But, a lot of the more, I think, Clintonian strategists are now winning these arguments about, like, well, why are we declining in popularity? What can we do to turn this around? And I think you're going to see a more generalized right-wing shift from this administration next year.